This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I'd like to call the November 8th meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission to order. First order of business would be public speak. Anybody has anything? No? Okay, let's skip over the minutes and move to item number 4, determination of historical significance of 150 Northampton Street. Let's see, we have some people here that are going to speak to that, I guess.
Sure. Well, let's see. Freddie Fedor and his dad had a car dealership there since I think 48. Before that, it was a gas station. A small part. Then they added on the 3 bay doors that you see when you're on Northampton Street.
Okay.
And then in 1968, they wanted to become a Chrysler Plymouth dealer, and they added on a block addition that came out into the street a little bit more than the initial facade. And it's a block building with a concrete floor and just a glass facade. And that's about as historic as it gets. Freddie remembers building it.
Yeah, sure. And now, are you looking for total demolition or partial demolition?
So here's what's up. If you need more than just my picture. Right now, the building isn't exactly parallel to the street. It's sort of a little askew.
Yeah.
And it's kind of askew to the rest of the front of the building. It sort of sticks out a foot on one side more than on the other side. So we'd like to square it off and have it be continuing the same line as the garage doors that are there now. We are approved to come out 10 feet. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to be, basically not increasing the non-conformance, but we just want to be square and not have it angled and then angled as we made the planes.
Okay.
There's a new state code that's going to require us to be more energy efficient, and if we become more energy efficient by putting anything on the front of the building that exists, we're going to be even more non-compliant. So the idea of being energy efficient and compliant with the town dictates, hey, let's get rid of this, go back and be straight, and we can add on the insulation and not increase the non-compliance. So it seems like it's a win-win. It also makes, as it's been explained to me, it makes it more convenient to build, because if we build an addition on this side and we build an addition on that side and we have to mate them to the standing building, it's kind of a, that's a problem.
Sure.
And then we've got some poles that we want to use to support the roof so we really can carry the load of the weight of the hot tubs. And in order to do that, if we don't take the building away first, dig the footings for the steel posts, then build the building, what we'd have to do is knock holes in the roof, lower the steel in by a crane, and it would need a bigger crane because it's going over the roof rather than being close.
Right.
It's like
So logistically, it's
we're saving, $100,000 and making a better building and being less non-compliant.
Right.
And if it got lost in all of that explanation, it's just the most recent addition is what we're looking to take away, nothing besides that.
I want to bring that up on the screen.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, go
wondering,
ahead.
and you could as well, it's just Google.
Can you turn it?
I have a photograph.
Okay.
Here, I think, can you bring it up on
Yeah.
maps.google.com?
Swing that a little bit so I can share it.
Because I'm just wanting to clarify too, are you slicing off so that it's even with the bay doors, or building out so that the bay doors are incorporated in?
We'll be building out from the bay doors
Uh-huh.
to basically match up with the line of the showroom, the big glass part of the building.
Right.
So that comes out an additional 10 feet from Yeah, that
So you're
little bump
gonna
out
make
right there.
this
Exactly.
level all the way out. Okay,
Correct.
That's great.
But it'll be just the showroom that would take you down,
Yes.
Which is the
Just the glass.
To the left.
To the
glass here.
the small
right?
building.
Those two, both of them.
Both of
glass.
them, this whole part.
Yes, that
Where the,
part.
where the 3 bays are, that's the original,
Right.
well, not the original, that was added on too.
Right,
That's
yeah, I
just
saw
this
there's
tiny
another,
little-
yeah, in
It's
the
just a-
back.
But from the bay doors
Behind.
to the right, that all stays.
It's not inventory, is it?
No, there's no inventory, so there's no inventory form in the macros database for this property. The closest, once I get this, which I can show, the closest is some bits away.
Battery's getting low, maybe.
Well, I mean, I got my question answered, so I think I understand what we're talking about.
I mean, looking at the building, it doesn't seem like it's
off.
Yeah.
So that it's all level with that. What goes in front of it all?
Nicer looking stuff. No, so we're basically, that creates space for us to put in a staircase that's going to allow us to access the upstairs
Right.
from 2 locations.
Yeah.
So one of those spots that we're building a new building in is going to be a staircase to the roof. That's going to be the main entrance out of the lobby. That second staircase that's going to be in that front area in front of those bays basically will come down to the spa lobby and then also out to our kind of, we're calling it a chill out lounge, but you know, the place you relax after a hot tub and just, you know,
John,
sit in front of a fire.
can you move that just a little bit? I'm assuming that black square is not,
Okay.
there's a building underneath it, right?
Yeah. Oh, whoops.
I'll be done.
Okay, here we go. So if you want to export that.
You just don't have the other copy, that's not what it said anyway.
It's not, I like the,
Stand up there.
No, there's a truck in the way.
Oh, there you go.
is that a truck that keeps jumping into a pool?
Yep.
Kismet. All right.
So
I mean, the facade on it is probably fairly new.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
relatively like,
It's a
60s
synthetic,
or 70s.
Yeah,
or something.
synthetic concrete.
Maybe even newer than that.
So the building on the left is the one that you'd be
Yes.
taking
That
down?
would take you down.
And you'd be keeping the building on the right with the
Mhm.
garage
It
bays?
will just be replacing the building on the left and squaring off the whole building.
Making an energy efficient version of what we're knocking down, and a beautiful version as well. But it'll also be 2 stories at that point.
Visualization. So the heavy black line is the 2 bays, or 3 bays there. Yep. And then that's the addition in front.
We will have a lounge, also a lounge or a studio upstairs, so for things like yoga or massage schooling or, you know, basically a conference center, so that people could come, rent a room, and have a birthday party, and then move on to sauna, hot tub, cold plunge, massage,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Super.
This is the Macris maps.
Yeah.
150 Northampton Street is between Florence Road here and this short little street. There's no resources that are shown in the area. The closest is this off Florence Road, which is the single-family home. And if we went to the database, which I can pull up in a minute, it'll show that there's also nothing in Northampton Street.
To me, it seems about equivalent of the one that right up here that's been rebuilt that was next to Jim's Packy, where the old Jim's Packy was, yeah. It's the cinder block building.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing unique about it as far as garage.
I'm just thinking George Washington had his brakes fixed here.
Well,
So, yeah, it doesn't seem,
I mean, it wasn't, built by Indiana Coca or anything like that, right?
wasn't an Indian dealership or
Right.
anything like that, or, no.
So you're in Amherst. Well, fraternity house.
So there are a few resources on Northampton Street. But nothing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I do not have any more questions.
Do you have any
Either one of you
questions or
do.
objections? No?
No.
A whole bunch of these things around. I mean, let's have a motion to,
Yeah, is it
Some-
to
it's
allow,
a-
right, to,
Yeah, so it's the finding of historical significance. So this would be timeline, like if you found that it was historically significant, then the next step would be a demolition delay hearing. But
Because it's not.
So it's not, so the finding of non-significance.
Yeah. I move that we find that this property at 150 Northampton Street is not historically significant.
second? Okay, all in favor of finding of non-significance?
Significant.
Okay.
Not
Guys,
historically
you guys are all set.
We'll make it significant, don't worry.
We hope to.
They'll be talking about it
We
later.
hope to make history.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for doing the research.
problem.
And as town elders, you'll all be expected to come in and enjoy our
Oh,
facility.
there we go.
We have in the past. I used to live right next door. In Northampton, yeah.
Oh,
The
great.
house right next
Rented,
door?
I rented in the White House just a little.
Oh, yeah.
That was back in the 90s.
As far as I know, George still owns it.
Probably.
Oh, great. Yeah, so I mean, we were good neighbors. and-
Yeah.
It was quiet. and nice and quiet. Oh, boy.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you. And we all need it, but, yeah, it's a heavy lift, but, it's stuff like this that gets it done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Oh, you're welcome.
Have a good
Take care.
night. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wondered what was going to become of that building. It just doesn't, yeah.
Well, I mean, looking at it, it's a garage. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not even.
Exactly.
Doesn't even looks like a dealership anymore.
Right.
So,
I mean, I could see if somebody had been like,
Oh, I've got the Oldsmobile sign, and we'll turn it back into a,
well,
that
like the
would've-
place on Con Street in Northampton, it's got the Packard wheel there, which says Packard across it. And you're going like, well, come on, you got to keep that. But it's already been bastardized. And
It's a carpet place, wasn't it, for a while
Yeah,
recently?
National Flooring. And they must have been the ones that I think did the brick, that they used the faux stone
yeah, faux
facade.
stone,
Yeah.
bone.
Okay. Okay, let's get to the minutes. Only the first items 2 and 3 are probably
Wanna
the
make a
most
motion?
important. Well, if you want to take a look at it quick.
I did, yeah.
You did already.
Did you
How do they look?
I move we approve the minutes of September.
Second? Second? Aye. Aye. Okay, approved as written. Okay. Correspondence, I have a couple of letters that Jamie had forwarded to me. First one, let's look at the A Brookside Cemetery, which, October 17th, 2023. Do I need to read this, or you guys want to just?
I read it, I was fascinated.
Yeah, it's, this is actually pretty interesting. can read it for the record if you so choose and want to be patient.
I guess the thing I don't know is what's the ask?
Which one is this?
The cemetery.
Brookside Cemetery.
Oh, and here. Sorry. If it may be of national significance, how do we help them?
So essentially, what this project was, the Parks Department is looking to...
The stone building, right?
Yeah, to rehab the stone building at Daly Field, to make it a usable bathroom facility again. Right now, it's completely not. The work on it, it's a historic building. It was built in the 1930s or thereabouts with WPA labor, and they don't want to tear it down, but it's not. There was an inventory on it, but it wasn't eligible for historic preservation funding grants to rehab it. So they came up with this plan that they were going to get that building actually, it was like locally historically significant, but to get it onto the State Register of Historic Places. And then in addition to that, doing work to get the Brookside Cemetery on the State Register of Historic Places. This is a long-standing discussion that you all have been having about the different cemeteries. And so Parks Department, I guess, manages the cemeteries. They hired PVPC to do this inventory and assessment of those two buildings. And part of the final culminating inventory report is this letter that they send to Mass Historic Commission. That in that letter, they say, we think that this is eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. We think it's the most, amazing facility in the United States, and then the Mass Historic Commission comes back and says, okay, well, no, it's a good, it's nice, but like it's not eligible, or it is eligible. We agree with your assessment, or we don't agree with your assessment. And so essentially, what they're coming back with is the letter of like, we agree with your assessment, Shannon, that it is eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. It is there is something unique and important about this to not just Easthampton, but to the Commonwealth and actually to the nation. So we would support your Easthampton's efforts to eventually get this listed. There's no...
That being said,
like, it's the city's push to make that happen. To do that additional work to go through the National Register nomination process. And this letter from Mass Historic is essentially, I think, saying that they would support that nomination, and without the state support, the National won't even look at it.
Right. So this, of course, they're not definitive saying that, it is, it's maybe.
Right, but they're also not saying it's not.
Right.
Which is, I've seen many of those come back from the Mass Historic.
Oh, yeah.
Say, this is not, it's not a...
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, it's just a single family home, like, it's,
it's just a trailer.
Right, exactly. So that's the Brookside Cemetery, and then the Town Lodging House one. There were a number of different ones.
I remember that one too as well.
But I forget which letter this is that came from the town lodging. I believe it was supportive of their proposal to redevelop and build a new building.
So where's that? I missed something.
75 Oliver.
Oh, it's the second letter?
Yeah.
Review additional information, instruction.
It's exciting that they do this. I love when archaeology is a trend that gets in here.
Yeah, it was really weird because the project essentially, like, to develop the project, they wanted to do an archaeological assessment of the site to figure out where we should not be building this building
Right.
by identifying the sites of archaeological importance. And they went into Mass Historic and said, this is our plan, and Mass Historic said, no, you can't, we won't give you this permit to do your archaeological research until you tell us where you want to put the building. And then, once you tell us where you want to put the building, then we'll allow you to do this archaeological assessment to make sure that there's nothing unique or special in that area that you're putting the building.
This is the kind of
Right,
that gives bureaucracy
so
a
then
bad
it's
name.
like, so it's like,
Yeah.
the developer was trying to, the city's partners are trying to do this in a way that respects the heritage
Right,
and
right.
saving money. So essentially, we had to like take a guess as to where the archaeological significant areas are, and come up with a plan that respects those significant areas, develop enough of the design drawings for the new structure that Mass Historic can like look at the new structure and make sure that there's nothing going on there. And so now they've approved the archaeological excavation or whatever to go forward with that. So that's why it's like the additional information that was requested is like the site plan showing the new building and.
Well, I see where they're saying, looking for archaeological disturbances from the past, so don't dig it up, but until we dig it up.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really find it negative, but just kind of careful.
Yeah, so this has been like back and forth with Mass Historic over the
Yeah.
last year for this project. And there's a dedicated historic preservation consultant, same firm that was doing the rail, the canal work.
Oh, good.
Um,
They did a good job.
Yeah, not the firm out of New York
Right,
that did the housing.
right.
Or
The firm from Amherst.
So letters of support,
Yeah.
basically.
What's that?
Letters of support is basically what it boils down to. Even just not
Well, letters
not
of
throwing a monkey wrench in the works?
Yeah, that's probably because like they can, it's more than just like the support letter because they can effectively stop the project.
Okay. Item number 3 is this is already almost 2 months old. I don't know why I didn't see it in September, or maybe we did. The cycle for the survey and planning grants.
Yeah. I didn't know of anything that we're working on.
Well,
So-
the only thing that kind of been on my mind since day one is doing the inventories of the cemeteries and whatnot, which with that letter, even reinforces that, but, this is probably almost too late anyways, right?
So was there a date in there for
It's probably November,
it's probably today.
November 9th.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure. No, November 15th, you got a week.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about for next year.
Yeah, they do these annually.
Yeah,
The one that we applied for the inventory work with the, expanding the neighborhood, we had 100 properties surveyed or
Right.
inventoried. So, this would support that type of work again.
with cemeteries, the cemetery?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, we got 3 old cemeteries in town.
Yeah.
One of them, which, is obviously the state says, hey, this is something you need to look at, a little closer. And the other 2 are, got Revolutionary War veterans buried in the other 2.
So we may want to, I had a really hard time working with Mass Historic on this one when we did the other inventory. It was a $25,000 50-50 match. So we needed to go to CPA to ask for $12,500.
Right.
We got $12,500 from the state, and the amount of extra work that they sort of required made me go the whole time, why didn't we just ask CPA for 25,000?
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
right,
it's
yeah.
it's a small enough money for the CPA committee that they
That-
probably could have funded it in its entirety. And then we could have just like done away with all of the state and federal procurement requirements that really,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit onerous for the very small amount of money that we got. So what Shannon Walsh did for the Parks Department, I think she did it for like $5,000 for the cemetery and $5,000 for the Brookside, or somewhere in that range. So we're thinking to go do cemetery inventories and listings and things like this, then it might just be worth it to like reach out to Shannon, see what the price would be, and then just going to CPA directly for that without seeking a matching fund.
We should invite her to a meeting.
Sure.
Sounds like a bad idea. We'd just start discussing it. You know, I mean, we got a ton of time anyways at this point, you know, even if you were looking at this.
Yeah, and it does take, I mean, we did ask her help to put together that application. It was just like, it was a lot of
Yeah.
work to apply for it, and then it just, maybe we probably got a better, probably got a better product, and I don't think Shannon would have been able to assist us for the 100 units.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a lot. I mean, where you get a firm to come in and say, okay, we can throw 5 people at this and
Yeah.
get a lot more done. But, you know, like I said, talk to her about, because I'm kind of interested in doing the cemeteries. I mean, there's a lot of work, like even, you know, fixing headstones and that kind of thing, which is, you know, we don't want an amateur job on it.
Right, and so that's the other thing. This is not, so the inventory that was done for the state was not an inventory of each and every headstone.
Right.
It was an inventory en masse
We're
of
talking,
the
you're
cemetery.
talking Brook Street.
Yeah, Brookside.
Brookside.
And so while some monuments and some structures and some names were called out as being important, it did not go through every single one. It did
Right,
not
yeah.
do a condition on all the headstones. So it would, you know, it was towards a specific purpose of getting the property inventoried to get onto the state register, but not inventoried for an assessment of what works, what preservation or restoration work needs to happen.
Right. So, well, yeah, I think, but Shannon would be able to help with that end of it.
Probably with both.
Yeah.
So I don't know what her capabilities are time-wise and capacity-wise, so I think we'd like to invite her to a meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
It
Reach
seems
out.
like that would be a good thing. We'll
Okay.
talk
Sounds
maybe
good.
in the new year.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, in December. Okay, let's see, what else we have? Oh, there was a postcard too. Restoring windows and architectural finishes since 1936. We're out of Middleborough. If anybody's interested in fixing their old windows. Okay. We have metal detecting, which we haven't done anything yet. And I really haven't had time in the last couple of weeks to do anything. Historic sign program, still thinking, could reach out to a few local places, see what they can, you know, come up with. There seems to be a lot of resources out there in the world.
Yeah. Do you mind refreshing what I guess my recollection was the historic sign. There seemed to be interest on behalf of the committee to do something. So it was unclear what we had
Well,
capacity for.
we were
and-
looking at 2 different areas. House, you know, year built, and basically like Easthampton Historical Commission logo on it or something like that. So it's kind of a certified thing. Where this is like going from maybe Medford or something like that. They have a similar thing where Whatever the cost of the sign is, people apply and, write you a check for $60 and you say, you look at it and, okay, yeah, looks good. We'll let them put the sign on and, you order the sign for them and have it installed. Or they do it.
And that was for more like industrial buildings, is that right?
No, there's regular homes, some older ones. Or the other thought was that, like, similar to what's on Main Street on that house where that guy grew up that, became involved with Mass Aggie and, is in Japan teaching them how to, raise cattle or whatever. Or like where my apartment's located, this site stood, a house that was part of the Underground Railway, blah, blah, blah. That would be,
Yeah, so we were gonna compare the two offers, or?
Well, I
Because-
think the first option with, having house dates and whatnot, kind of certified a little bit more, look into it a little bit more, would be fairly simple. It's just finding somebody that would do the signs at a reasonable price and, having something that looks good and then getting people interested in it. So a little bit of outreach to show that it's out there. But there's really not a lot of work is involved except for, approving applications at the monthly meetings. Second one would be more research and whatnot, if, anybody was interested in going down that path. And then, of course, funding them. Because it certainly wouldn't be free.
Well, that's where I was trying to clarify, because my understanding was, one option was that just each individual homeowner would pay for it
Yeah.
on their own, and then the other is, but I didn't think we thought we had any sources for revenue for paying for.
Right, that's a tough,
Yeah.
The other way is if we came up with a list of what we wanted to put signage on, and then go out and look for people to, hey, we want to put these signs up, we're trying to raise some money. Have people sponsor them,
And I guess the third sign that you didn't discuss, and maybe wasn't on discussion here, but with like here's the Hampshire Camden Canals, this is the old canal route. We have like right on the rail trail at the Easthampton, we have that sign. It's not a sign. It's a glass photo.
Right.
Of the train depot.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah, who put those up?
That, I remember that, yeah, that was the Rail Trail Committee,
Okay.
and they came to was it here? I think they came to us, or
Before my time.
somebody came
Possibly,
to
yeah,
us.
I
and-
remember something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember they were talking about it.
I mean, you have locations where the canal.
Right, which I was thinking
there would
of.
be, signage there.
There should be, but that one would probably be one of those metal historical signs, right? One of those fairly large.
Yeah.
Which again, that brings the funding question of like,
Right. Who pays for it?
right, but like, and CPA doesn't do signs.
Right.
Yeah, which is,
Unless the sign is part of like a larger project, like if you're doing the restoration of the facade of the building, and then you
Right.
can get the sign on the side of the building that says this, what's going as part of the larger project. But if there were a list of places again that were like, these are the signs we're trying to come up with, and
Get some ideas of prices.
looking to city council to do some sort of appropriation or something like that from maybe free cash or.
yeah. You'd have to figure out how much the
Or-
signs are gonna cost. And
Yeah,
all
figure
that,
out how much a sign costs.
Or
and
putting it
then-
into, asking the mayor for a budget.
Yeah.
It's almost it'll be budget season in January, and like, if this, can we just like, we would like to have a sign budget of, $2,500 a year.
We might also need to get because I'm thinking, well, all the Williston, they already have signs, right? Those are covered. Old Town Hall has sign, right? So your question of where would we put, if we were doing it, where would we want to put a sign? This got me wondering, where would we?
Well, so you could like match the mill buildings, 15 Cottage Street, 1 Cottage Street, the Button Building.
That's true.
There's a number of buildings up and down Union Street, Cottage Street, Main Street, that get a lot of foot traffic and would seem to be appropriate places for buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You
Even
could put
some places along the bike path where, there used to be the gas works that went into town and warehousing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like on this site, blah,
You
blah,
can put
blah.
something on the pond here saying, when it was built, how it was built. It's not everybody knows that it used to be a stream
Right.
before it was dammed.
So we want prices on the metal kind of historic one that goes on a pole and on the wooden ones that might go over your mailbox on the front of the house. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the ones that people are putting on their homes would be, obviously, they're funding it.
Right.
And
'Cause I would
we're
get
just
one.
we're just approving.
Once we figure it out, I'll
Yeah.
be first in line to get one.
Okay, you could be the
1873.
number one.
I mean, and you could also use this one program as a donation program that funds the other program. So, let's say the cost
Oh,
of the
yeah.
wooden plaque is actually $100 because everything's more expensive now than it was when
True.
we first started talking about this. And so you ask for $250 so that you get the official thing, and then $150 goes into the gift account, the revolving account, the gift account, whatever. So that way we can raise money for other things. But obviously that's a question.
But the person that's getting the plaque or whatever for the house, we're gonna charge them a percentage to put that up there. Is that what you're saying?
You could do that.
To sort of fund it?
You could do that. You can make it as like the donation to the historical commission's plaque fund gets you a plaque on your house, and like, so it's not.
And
we're not-
mention in our newsletter.
Yeah, because I had a friend, he lived in Farmington, Connecticut, and right near Miss Porter's. And this was an old family that lived on this road, and they haven't really changed it. The whole family lived there. And then, so, they lived on the one street. And it was a horse stable at first, right? And then one of the sons or whatever got, he had come with child, so they had to make space for him. So they changed the stables and they converted it into a house. And the historical mission in Farmington, he bought the plaque to tell the time and whatever and the whole history. This guy was the guy that's, I think he's still there. He was in like World War II. And the guy's like, he's really old, and he still shoots. Don't go on his property. He will shoot you. But yeah, he paid for a plaque.
Yeah.
So that's a way that I think we can do that.
Another advantage if we did that, if we got individual homeowners to say, hey, I'd like to, make a contribution and get a plaque, well, then we're kind of creating an inventory. Everybody who gets a plaque, we're going to write it down and say such and such, the house built at this time and that time.
So that's the way that's...
Right,
Yeah.
and that should be,
Inventory.
one of the ways we're going to check these things too is because if they're on the Macris database,
Right.
we know circa 1880, circa, and that's not always so accurate, but it
Right.
can do.
How about, where else would you check? County courthouse?
Registry of Deeds is like, tells you when the lot was created, but it doesn't always tell you
when the house
about
was
the
built.
property when the house is built. I took watched a webinar on like historic housing in New England, and like if you're someone who studies this, you can like look at it and go, oh, those windows are
Mhm.
above the, like, they're like above the roof line. So that means that this is like the federal period, but it was early federal.
Right.
Because later they moved the windows down, so
Yeah.
they're like below the roof line. And so you can like more easily know by that. But to really know when a house was built, you have to go and you do like, I think it's called dendrochronology, which is
Oh,
like,
right, the
you
trees.
like take a sample of like a post or beam in the house that you know is from like the oldest section of the house, and then you do radiocarbon dating to figure out when was that tree growing, and
But
and
it also
have the-
can throw you because if it was reused, let's say from a boat, like my friends who have
Yeah.
a 1710 house,
Yeah.
but they determined the part that they did dendrochronology on was actually a reused portion from a boat.
Right. So
How
there's
did they
like,
determine that?
yeah.
A lot of work.
Probably because they said there's no way that this
Well,
style wasn't built in the 1600s.
And because of the marks and the changes made to the lumber.
Yeah.
Like they looked at it and they're like, oh, okay, and they could tell that we know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people that do that all the time, yeah.
So to
you know,
really,
so-
so to really know when the house was built goes well beyond, I think, the purview of this program, unless we wanted to spend, you know, a ton of people hours and hiring
Well,
experts.
well, you know, just say this, is, you don't have to be, well, you have to be fairly sure that the guy's house wasn't built in 1965 and he's claiming 1865.
Right.
You know? You
But-
say,
but
okay,
otherwise-
within 10 years, you're probably okay.
Right, and
Yeah,
if you
'cause
do,
there's
you
no-
know, circa
Yeah.
1880.
And there's no
as
penalty
opposed
for being wrong, but what you're making me think is, more importantly though, we could actually use that again to crowdsource the work. Because the people I know, and like myself, we did the work, we did the research, and in fact, I have a lot of evidence as to how I got it down to the date that I got it down to. And what we could do, instead of making it our job to like fact check all of that, is if we had a form that people can fill out and give us, what are your reasons for thinking that? All we kind of have to do is verify, like you said, that nobody's trying to pull something.
Right.
And that something that clearly is like, oh, okay, that's clearly a 1955 structure and you're claiming it's 1750, you know.
Right.
We could knock those out. Not that I suspect we'll really get any of that, but
Right.
then that means that they're doing the work. That gives them the pride in the house and that little bit of extra knowledge about it. But again, then we get the benefit of an increased inventory with more data.
Sure. Well, sort of, yeah.
Well, especially,
I mean,
we're doing it
more
this.
like our own inventory, not something that the state's going to really
Correct.
recognize, but, yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, because then you get places like with the people that came in today. We don't know anything about this building, you know, except that, you know, it was built somewhere in the 40s,
Yeah.
and it's a garage,
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Another thing, which this is, I suppose this would be under, well, let's finish up the signs before I go off on a tangent.
Is there a next step?
That's the question. I think we should probably, I think for one next step is take part A, the homes. Let's look at some different styles and see what's out there and what the costs are. I mean, I got some time to do a little bit of research in the coming weeks, so I can do that. And, you know, and if that leads me down the path to the bigger signs, you know, I can get some info on that. I'll bump that all together for the next meeting.
Great.
And take it from there. Maybe contact some people in towns that have it already and see what their experience is with it.
You did, I think at one point in time you sent a bunch of,
Yeah, we had some different ones we looked at.
Yeah.
But I don't think we had individuals. We were just looking at the different designs. Is my
Yeah, I had like 3 towns that had programs.
that's what I remember, was that there were some application forms
Application,
even that we
right.
looked at, so.
Like I said, I think it was Medford maybe or somewhere out
I'd
there.
be curious to see what their current pricing is compared to the pricing we looked at
Well, I
last
think, you know,
time.
it's like some of them were like $60 back
Yeah.
then, you know, and sign-wise, now it depends on what it's made of. I mean, you want a wooden sign, you want composite or something like that.
depends if it's painted, or
Steel
is
or brass.
is it routed, and
Right, yeah.
and that gold flake put into it, you know, like, there are lots of
Yeah,
ways
no,
to.
I mean, yeah, for sure. So let's just take a look at, you know, who's out there and what's out there for signs, and who does them fairly local, if not in town.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to backtrack a little bit. You said public speak, there was nothing, but I thought, I'll take it on myself now. As I was finishing up the minutes after I had already submitted the agenda and everything, listening to the part of the last meeting, we were talking about Moriarty building on Main Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as of right now, we have, what, 3 buildings that are basically being let go on Main Street, right in the center of town. The D&D building is nothing going on there. They cleaned it up a little bit, at least outside, but still, lawn's not getting mowed or anything like that. The old high school building next door is for sale, but again, it's not really being taken care of very much. And then Moriarty building. And, I mean, I don't know, besides contacting, you know, the building inspector, like, and did you say health department? Has anybody done that?
I haven't.
I spoke to the building commissioner, I don't know, it must have been after this last meeting.
That was September, yeah.
September, and she was like, did you know about this? I was like, oh yeah, I heard about this, you know, and she's like, how come no one ever told me about this?
Uh-huh.
Like, so she had just found out about the state of the Moriarty building
Right.
sometime in mid-September, so I
Okay.
don't know if there's been any follow-up or what's happening. But she was just like aghast that like there was, you know, holes in the facade, that people were going in there, that she's like, there's clearly people hanging out there, and that the building needs to be secured, and it's a mess right now, so.
You know, I mean, I don't know what we can do, if anything, but, you know, it'd be nice to get somebody moving on some of this stuff. There's 4 vacant buildings at this point. I mean, the Moriarty building, the old bank, which is for lease, the high school, and D&D. And I'm not sure if there's anything else along those lines. I don't think so.
Covers it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, when listening to the conversation, probably check something on this. Okay, we don't have anything on the town clock?
It came up in the CPA meeting, and I guess the best way to put it is it's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a $30,000 appropriation from city council to hire a consultant, an architect, to like start investigating it, and I think no one bid on it because the architects are like, this is actually like a $300,000
Yeah.
design project.
They-
And somewhere like in that range.
It was crazy
And so-
money. It was a lot more, like, you know, yeah, our estimates, we were asking for like 30 grand, and they're coming back with like, you need like 130 grand.
Just to look at it.
Just to
fix
look
it.
at. No, no,
Well, no,
just
that's right, that's right.
Just to
I
make,
can't
just to
get- yes,
design.
Yeah, just to design the
Because this
solution.
is, and that's what the building needs. To hire the consultants to do the work. I mean, this is, it's not an easy building, and you know, there's questions about, you know, what is it that needs to be. So before the mayor and the church entered into an agreement over what is the city's and what's the church's, you know, now it's like, so to effectively do the work, the restoration work on the clock, and there's the foundations and the rest of that structure, and the roof and the bells, and it's a big project to do it right. And when you're only looking at one small piece of it, sure, $30,000 would be enough to just do the clock work, but the city's not gonna then spend another, I don't know how much money to actually fix the clock on a building that's not gonna support that work, right? So like, you wanna make sure that the foundation, that the siding, that the structure's still good before you're spending all that funds to restore the clock. And it's just, it's a bigger project than, I guess, was originally proposed.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and everybody's charging top dollar nowadays too. That's, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're gonna need this, which, sometimes is.
But also you pay for the expertise of the consultant. You want a historic preservation consultant to come in there.
Yeah. Oh,
And do the work right. That's more expensive than having someone who's just gonna like use modern materials to like.
right. Well,
So that was just a very brief update on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been cut out.
There wasn't much movement, as I gathered, because that really threw everybody for a loop.
okay.
And I'm trying to remember what the takeaway, the action points were.
Incredulity.
Incredulity, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there was an action.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think, I think we were just all blown away. Like, really, wow.
Oh,
So,
I can understand that from what, I'm just wondering if that's, you really need that much, I mean, I'm not sure what the scope was on what people were saying, so it's hard to,
yeah, I guess if Dan hasn't shared it with you, I would assume that there, whatever, we didn't share that back to the History Commission. I should have brought that.
He didn't share anything with me.
I will make an attempt to share what I have
Okay.
with the group here, so that you can see it. But yeah, it seems like it wasn't a matter of, oh, this guy's really expensive, this guy's not, we could choose this guy over that guy. It seemed like it was just hands down, like, no, you are way under your estimate of what it would cost. Again, yeah, I had to stop myself 3 or 4 times, I think, during the meeting, not to build it, but to plan to build it.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like an awful lot just to.
That's what every one of
look
us
at
said.
it.
That's what every one of us said.
I'll go look at that for
Like,
$10.
wow. We're like, whoa.
Well, I
this
mean,
is a
I
lot.
remember when we were doing the last phase of it. I mean, it was going to cost, I think, like $10,000 a month just for staging.
Yeah, the
To
scaffold.
get
Yeah,
just
right.
to get up there,
Yeah.
and like, if you want to like, you can fly a drone up there and look at some things, but some of it you actually need to get up close and look at. And if you're gonna be a designer who needs to get up there and look at the outside of the top of the splines and like invest like $10,000 a month right off the bat, that's just going to.
You hope they wouldn't be there for more than, a month or 2.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll share what you have, and we can certainly.
I need to get going.
Huh?
I need to get going. because
Sure.
there-
You're dismissed.
I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to cover.
School. Schools. Nothing.
Last I heard, they're still just ironing out the details of the purchase and sale.
Okay, that's about where we were 2 months ago.
Yep.
Okay, very good. And survey and planning grant project ideas, we are looking at cemeteries, which, we probably end up doing outside of the grant program, but,
You'll contact Shannon?
yeah, for next year,
Yeah, I don't know what her schedule's like, so.
yeah. I'll shoot her an email, see what she's up to. Give her a call or stop down and say hello.
Yeah.
When I'm in Springfield every other day, therapy and whatnot. Okay, next meeting. I have the 13th is out for me. So we have a choice of the 6th, 12th, or 14th, I suppose. So it'd be Tuesday, Thursday, or the Wednesday before. I don't anticipate a whole lot of stuff to talk about.
6 is okay with me.
6th would be preferable.
6th?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it on the 6th then. And we'll try to focus on the metal detecting and the sign program, if there's nothing else comes up. I mean, oh, the other thing is, I don't think I put it on here, but demo delay. Do we have any movement on that?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
need to touch base with Tom Keith. And I think once we till January now.
Oh, it's fine.
With the new city council.
We've-
So then we start.
It's only been how many years?
Yeah, sorry.
Not that it's a problem, it's just, you know, certainly, as it seems to be working anyways with what we got.
By the time we update it, it'll be time to
Update
update
it.
it again.
Well, how many years has it been in place? I mean, it was a town when
Yeah, it's
they
like
had it, so.
1990.
Yeah, it could be somewhere in the late 80s, 88, something like that.
Thank you.
Does anybody want the postcards with the,
I'll take it.
it's got a nice picture of a house on
Check
it.
them out. Well, I have to have my windows redone.
meeting will
so I
start.
imagine I-
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.